The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
Jabron.
From the FBI, Vito, the stolen rifle from Staten New York, toughest man that ever wear a dress. The Pavarotti of hard shots, the party of Python, got it going on.
This is Vince Russo's The Brand.
Hello, everybody. It is Sunday night. The Super Bowl is history. Just ended a few minutes ago. This is Grandpa Vince. This is little Sami Zayn. I am joined with the great Italian stallion, Big Vito LaGrasso. Vito, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Everything is good. What a great Super Bowl game that was. One of the better ones that we have seen. Even I would say that was just as good, if not better, than last year's game. And congratulations to the Eagles. They played a good game. And you know what? It took one fumble and one mistake, and everybody thought Nick Foles was going to fold, but it was Tom Brady who had the mistake. Both teams played awesome. It was a good game. Can't complain about that. Everybody should be happy. So, Vince, what do we got in store for today?
Yeah, Vito, it was a good game, bro. I'm kind of kicking myself because every year, bro, I bet a little something on the Super Bowl. Otherwise, right. I mean, bro, otherwise, I don't care who wins. You know what I mean? So I always make it a little interesting. I always throw down a bet. And, I was going to call, Disco today because I was going to bet, I was going to get the Eagles and the points, and I was going to bet the Eagles straight up to win. Those were the two bets I was going to lay down. I was probably going to go a C note on each one, but it was like, man, I didn't want to spend the money, and I didn't want to lose the money, and I hemmed and hawed, and I didn't call Disco. And then sure enough, I would have won on both ends. I mean, I would have won with the points, which would have got me, I would have won $100 on that. But then winning the Eagles to outright win, I would have probably won 150 of that. I would have had another 250 bananas in my pocket, but I didn't have the balls to make the bet, bro, because I didn't want to lose the money.
Nah, but you're not a gambling guy. You're just a sports guy like me. You just want to watch a good game. You want to have a good time. You want to enjoy the game because you're a sportsman. You enjoy sports, all sports. Baseball, football, basketball, and it's just life.
And Vito, that's what I want to kind of talk to you about, because this is what I was thinking of while I was watching the Super Bowl. And this is a conversation I want to have to you. But before we get to that, bro, smarten me up on the locks, because I'm seeing locks on your cap, LOCS. The only thing I could think of is bagels and locks, but I think that's LOX. Clue me in on the LOCS. What is LOCS?
It's like one of those gangster hats. So it's like the Crenshaws and stuff like that. So like when I'm wearing my, Gold's Gym stuff and I'm like being hoodie and everything, I bring it to the Russo brand. You know what I mean? Because we gangster here.
Well, who are the locks though, bro? Who are they? Are they a Jewish gang of locks?
They could be whatever group they are. I don't care. The hat looks good. I really don't care what it says.
All right, Vito, listen, this is the conversation I want to have with you.
All right, let's go.
I want to break this down from a psychological point of view, okay? Because, bro, it really bothers me when I sit there and I watch Monday Night Raw or we review a pay-per-view. It really bothers me, bro, when people accuse me of being bitter and everything towards the WWE is such hatred and this and that. First of all, let me address that. Okay, bro, and you know, Vito, because you and I have had private conversations about this. Okay,
I saw it on your Twitter, and right after the last pay-per-view, and I saw all these, these remarks from our faithful fans and everybody out there, and they're taking pot shots at you, and they're being like ruthless. But what the people don't forget is everybody's entitled to their opinion, and we're not giving an opinion of hatred. We're giving an honest analysis of what we think as professionals from the other side of the coin.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Vito. They use the word hatred and bitter. You and I have had personal conversations off the air. I don't think people really understand how happy and satisfied I am with where I am in my life right now. Bro, me, and then, Jeff Lane. I mean, bro, we've been growing this brand now for 3 years. Vito, where the brand is now is something which I always envisioned. Everybody knows I'm a Howard Stern Mark junkie,
Right.
addicted to the guy, and I have been for 35 years. And that's what I always wanted to do. And one of my favorite things about Howard is he has made the people around him like celebrities. The guys that work on the show. That's why you're tuning into the show. The guys that work on the show, the listeners, Bobo, and and the list goes on and on and on and on. Elephant Boy, and the list goes on. And that's what I always wanted to create. Here we are 3 years in, and I feel I finally created that with the brand. You have a show. Noel has a show. Bin Hameen, Stevie. I got Kenny Bolin on there. Our listeners have become a part of the brand culture to the point that, bro, they're starting to become stars of the show. We bring them on the show. People know who they are. This is the thing I've always looked to create. We've got more subscribers now in the Realm Network we've ever had before. Bro, we're on 7 days a week on Podcast One. We're approaching 20 million downloads. Vito, I don't have to leave my house. I could do my shows from my office. You could see I got my albums around me. I got a beautiful man cave. I'm back in Colorado. I still dabble in a little bit of wrestling on the local level. I work with, young kids, with Matt Yaden and Rocky Mountain Pro. When Ron and Don Harris ask me to do something, I do something for Ara Lucha. Bro, I am so happy and so content. And that's why, I do get pissed off when people say, oh, I'm bitter. That I don't, what, bro, I'm bitter that at 57 years old, I'm not getting on a plane every week and I'm not involved in a freaking political landmine. I can't imagine how that company is over there. I'm 57, bro. That would be the last place in the world I would want to be. And there is no hatred. I sit here and I tell you all the time, the guys on Raw that I really like, people that I am a fan of, and people that I wish I could have written for. There's no hatred and there's no bitterness involved. But here's what I want to dive into with you, because this is the part of it I don't think people understand. Vito, you and I met in 1991.
Right.
Do the math. 2001, 2011, 27 years. Okay? Vito, I've been married to the same woman for 34 years. Okay, Vito, I've been a San Francisco Giant fan since I'm 12 years old. Vito, I bought my first Kiss album on my 16th birthday, 41 years ago, and still support the band. Okay, here's the thing I don't think people understand, and this is where I really want to pick your brain and I want to get into it. Okay, now, I just established right there, I am a very loyal person. Okay, you can see behind me, you see right here on this top shelf, all those colorful DVDs, bro, right there. Or every single episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. Okay, but loyal to, and bro, since I love the show, there were so many comparisons to me and Ray Romano. Of course, since the show is long off the air, I still support Ray Romano. I'm still a Ray Romano fan. King of Queens, same thing, bro. I got every King of Queens episode on me. Bro, I could go back to when I was a kid and I loved the Planet of the Apes. That grew as I got older. I even saw the Mark Wahlberg movie, which was awful, but the last 3 installments were incredible. My point is, I am a very, very loyal person. I think, Vito, a lot of that has to do with being Italian. I think when you're friends with somebody and you're loyal for life, but when somebody screws you, like they don't get a second chance. Am I pretty accurate with that?
Pretty accurate. 100%. Somebody messes with you, and you're loyal to them, you're good to them, you do for them, and they mess you over. I don't want to know you. You're dead to me. Go away. Don't bother me.
That's it. Okay, so we understand like where we're coming from. Okay.
Right.
All right, Vito, here's what I want to break down with you. And I want to make people understand. I began being a wrestling fan, Vito, in 1970. Okay, Vito, I can go back to the time when cable TV just started, and once a month on Monday nights, they would have the live shows from Madison Square Garden, bro. And it might as well have been WrestleMania. Okay. That is what my loyalty goes back to with wrestling, the 70s, starting with Bruno Sammartino. Okay, bro. That went through Backlund. That went through Hogan. I got a little away from it when I went to college because it was only because I was in college. When I came back from college, I picked it up with Hogan. Okay, I picked it up with Savage. Bro, all those freaking greats up until the time I actually started working for the WWE. So, bro, basically from 1970 to 2000. And I'm talking about like when I wasn't a part of before I became part of it. But for 30 years, bro, I was loyal to the wrestling business.
Right.
Okay. Now, Vito, I think you and I and everybody, I think it's fair to say, wrestling is two things, bro. It is sports and it is entertainment, correct?
It is.
Okay. Here's what I'm getting at, bro. When it comes to entertainment with me, and when it comes to sports with me, okay, bro, I look at professionals, Vito, as being something special. Bro, if you're on a movie screen, if you're on a television screen, if you're on an athletic field, regardless of if you're on a basketball court, a football field, to me, a professional is something like I can't be. And if you're a professional, you are the absolute best at your craft. Correct?
Exactly.
Okay, Vito, I still enjoy television today as much as I did when I was a kid. I've got my favorite shows now, but I still enjoy TV today. One of my favorite shows is Baskets. There's a lot of shows on HBO I like. Believe it or not, I like this show with Sarah Jessica Parker called Divorce. I make sure I watch that every week. Everybody knows I like the reality shows and Teen Mom. And, bro, all the great shows on HBO, The Sopranos and Curb Your Enthusiasm. I never stopped being a fan of television because the shows I watched back in the day, when I was a kid, All in the Family, bro, Welcome Back, Kotter, Sanford and Son, Happy Days, Dallas. I can go on and on and on and on. I believe that there are shows on television today that are just as good as the shows back in the day. Therefore, I am still very, very, very loyal to television.
I feel you.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Vito, movies. Everybody knows I love the movies, and everybody knows, of course, bro, we all love, De Niro, Pacino, Pesci. We grew up on all that stuff, Dustin Hoffman. But, bro, when you go to a movie today, you are still seeing the greatest actors and actresses in the world. Bro, I went today, just today, Vito, I went to go see a movie called The Shape of Water. Okay, Vito? I didn't know the actress's name. She played, she couldn't speak. I did not know the actress's name, but bro, a freaking brilliant performance. A brilliant performance. Vito, 2 weeks ago, I went to see I, Tanya, okay, about Tanya Harding. I did not know that actress. Unbelievable freaking performance. So whether it was Meryl Streep or Sally Field or these people I'm watching today, they're still the best actresses and actors in the world. Okay, bro, from the time I was a kid till now, I never lost my interest in movies. I never lost my interest in music. I never lost my interest in television. Bro, music. Bro, one of, I grew up on the Beatles, of course. Then, in my teenage years, I was a huge Kiss fan. Bro, I'm probably Rihanna's #1 fan. And my kids keep introducing new music to me. And it's still professionals doing that music. They sound like professionals. I mean, there's this, bro. I used to be big on the female groups. My God, the Bengals and the Go-Go's and Pat Benatar and the Runaways. I mean, the Donnas. I used to love that stuff. There's a girl band today, 3 sisters. Their name is Haim. I think they're phenomenal. They're professionals. They're professionals. My kids have just turned me on to My Morning Jacket. Great. They're professionals. They sound like professional musicians. We just witnessed the Super Bowl. Okay, bro? Right. These guys on the field, Vito, are no different than the guys we grew up with. They're the best in the field of football, right?
Exactly.
I mean, come on, Vito. Me and you saw Kenny Stabler, and we saw Roger Staubach, and we saw Terry Bradshaw. Okay, I mean, we saw the freaking greats. Okay, bro. Now you see Tom Brady. Now you see this kid for the Eagles, Nick Foles. Now bro. Every position you're watching this game, and these are the best football players in the world. Am I correct?
You're correct. Only one mistake changed the game, and one gutsy play changed the game.
Right. But thoroughbreds, bro. Thoroughbreds in here, the athletic ability, they are pros through and through. Bro, nobody is a bigger baseball fan than me. And Vito, I grew up on Mays and McCovey and Marichal, with the Giants, bro. I saw, Yastrzemski. I saw, Tony Gwynn, Kirby Puckett. Bro, I saw the greatest players play the game. Okay? And today, bro, I see Bryce Harper. I see Mike Trout. I'm still, these guys are pros through and through. They're freaking unbelievable. We saw last year with the Astros, Correa at shortstop and Altuve at second base. These are young kids, but bro, they're the freaking best baseball players in the world. Noah Syndergaard, bro. Clayton Kershaw. I mean, these are the best that at least the United States, but even the world now, there's so many Japanese players coming over. These are the best players in the world.
So we established that.
Any disagreements with anything I've said?
Nothing at all.
Okay. So, Vito, what I'm trying to get at is, as a loyal Italian, I still enjoy my TV. I still enjoy my movies. I still enjoy my music, and I still enjoy my sports. And I think it's fair to say, Vito, every one of those 4 have evolved. They're all different now than they were when I was a kid. Isn't that fair to say?
That everything has evolved. Yes, it has.
Okay, Vito. when we get to wrestling, and everybody knows I have to watch 5 hours of wrestling a week. And I know I am not a fan of wrestling anymore. I am not loyal to wrestling anymore. I am only watching this because it is part of my job and I'm getting paid. If the brand ended tomorrow, I would not watch a single minute of professional wrestling. But Vito, here's what I catch myself doing and saying every week. When I'm watching this show, Vito, I'm saying, are these the best professional wrestlers in the world? Or are these the best professional wrestlers in the United States? Because I'm not looking at them like they're larger than life. And I'm not looking at them in envy. And I'm not looking at them of them being something that I could never be. A lot of them, bro, are just they're regular people. I don't see regular people. I didn't see one regular person play in that game tonight. They were all exceptional football players. Justin Timberlake is not a regular guy, bro.
Right.
Okay. Stephen Curry is not a regular guy. These are the greatest professionals in their field. Then I go to wrestling and it's constantly, why is this guy on my TV? Why is this guy on my TV? Why is this guy on my TV? They don't act. They don't look. They don't feel like professionals. And they don't feel like Kurt Hennig and Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior and Ricky Steamboat and Jake Roberts and the Honky Tonk Man. They don't feel like any of those guys. Those guys, Vito, were special. There's nothing special about today's professional wrestlers on the WWE. That is why I do not have the loyalty that I once did, because I don't want to see regular people. Somebody sent me a clip today, bro, of Brian James. Brian James, who currently writes SmackDown for the WWE. It must have been an old show or something, but he was looking at footage of Akeem. Remember Akeem, bro? One Man Gang. Okay. Right. You would notice the One Man Gang if you walk through an airport. Okay, bro. You're right. And Brian James said, yeah, man, I like the big guys. I like the guys that are larger than life. I don't want to watch some dude who looks like he could be pumping my gas. Brian James said that. That was a direct quote from Brian James. And my point is 75% of that show looks like guys that they should be pumping my gas. So here's my question to you, bro. Why? Why is Major League Baseball still getting the greatest baseball players on the planet? NFL, greatest football players on the planet. Hollywood, greatest actors and actresses on the planet. Record companies, greatest musicians on the planet. Why are they still achieving that? But you're looking at the WWE, and you and I and everybody else knows these are not stars, and they are far from great sports entertainers. Why is that?
I'm going to tell you, and it's going to be a short, quick answer, and everybody listen. When I broke in the wrestling business along with Vince, it was still wrestling. When I say it was still wrestling, that means you had men with men bodies, with guys who looked like wrestlers, guys who still honored the tradition, okay? Honoring the tradition of kayfabe, honoring tradition of carrying out certain protocol in wrestling, going to the gym, working on your bodies. It wasn't all cookie cutter. You look like men. You look like you were hard. You were bigger than life. What happened to the wrestling fraternity is that it used to be an exclusive club. Not everybody got in. Today, everybody can buy a pair of boots, go buy a ring, go run a show without no professional training and call themselves professional wrestlers. All of the old school tradition is not transcended and did not come up with these brand of wrestlers today, where they all do flips and flips and flips and 50 finishes and flips and 20,000 acrobatic moves and flips. There's no more big guys. There's no more hard-hitting action. There's no more realness. There's no more storylines. There's no more kayfabe. It's not believable no more. Today, before the Super Bowl, I was watching 30 for 30. I was watching the Ric Flair thing. I never saw it before. And when the movie The Wrestler came out, I did not go watch this movie right away. Why do you ask me why I never watched these two particular things? Well, The Wrestler, I lived that lifestyle. And yes, it was exaggerated to an extent, but it was the life I led. And to watch it on TV kind of was hurtful and sad. And I'm glad I did not turn out like that. When I watched the Ric Flair 30 for 30, I sat there. I had a family, I had a wife and kids, and everything. And the things he was saying in this documentary, I didn't want to be home. I was bored. I was never home for my kids. I had many things and items I would give except my time. I miss things. I sat there at home. I was like, I understand. Is it a sickness and a disease that you have where you're going out and you're partying and you're living the lifestyle? You're looking like a wrestler. You're acting like a wrestler. You're living that persona every day. And that's what it is. And when you take what he did and what I did, maybe not to the extent of Ric Flair being a superstar on that level, but I lived that lifestyle. And when you talk about today's wrestler, it's so changed because the people don't live their gimmick, or they don't believe in what they're doing, and they don't carry that persona that you see. It's not larger than life. When you're not larger than life, and when you look at the Four Horsemen or Ricky Steamboat or Dusty Rhodes and Flair and watching them go for the title, and it wasn't believable. And then they switched over to Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant and Big John Studd. And you're looking at these tremendous men who carried themselves, were bigger than life. That's what you're missing today. Because anybody can fly themselves to Japan and go to a dojo and wrestle and sleep on a floor for $50 a match, as long as you're paying your way. Everybody can go to an indie show, jump in the crowd, go be a manager, get in the ring, and think because they watch it on TV, they could do it on TV, and they could do it for a living. There's no more training. There's no more teachings. There's no more of the guys of the old guard still around to pass it on. And the guys who think that they made it in the wrestling business, how could you say you made it in the wrestling business when you never been to the top of the food chain and you never did it full time? So how do you know what you're teaching is what the right thing to do to a new guy coming into business? The one question I'm going to ask everybody, when you go to your trainer and you have your eyes set on WWE, because that's what everybody has, and you can quote me, when you go to your trainer, and that's the one thing, I got to make it to WWE, I got to get there, I got to do that. And I'm going to tell everybody the one question: what was it like to sign your first WWE contract? 90% of the trainers today cannot answer that question because they did not do it, and they did not do it correctly. or they did not have what it took to be that larger than life superstar. So how could you go to that school and train, and how do you know he's teaching you the right way? How do you know he's teaching you to make it to the WWE? Now, you have NXT. Now, remember, guys, when I broke in, I wrestled in territories. Santo Domingo, Puerto Rico, Memphis, Tennessee. There are no territories today. Today, they pay you to train. So you're not learning the craft the right way. How do you know how to act like this superstar that's bigger than life? Because you're not out there living it and doing it every day. Ric Flair lived his gimmick. Skull Von Crush lived the gimmick of a German. Didn't speak English. Lived that persona. When he changed to Vito the Skull LaGrasso from Staten Island, New York, I became myself because I was Big Vito, because I lived that life. I was being myself. The easiest in the world to do. And when you saw me walk in and when you see me arrive somewhere, you knew that guy was somebody special. You knew he was somebody. Can you say that about half the roster that's in the WWE today? Absolutely not. Could you mistake them for pumping your gas? You absolutely could.
Vito, here's the thing. I want to dive a little bit into this. Bro, you got to understand when I'm at Rocky Mountain Pro,
right?
Mark Yaden is the trainer and he owns the school. So he all these kids come to the school. They want to train to be wrestlers. Okay.
Right.
Now, bro, I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, I'm being honest, bro. I'm sorry. I'm saying to myself, do some of you guys have you ever looked in the mirror? Do you know you could pay all the money you want to train there? You're never going to be a professional wrestler. You're not, bro. You don't have what it takes, because a big part of it is looking the part. And by I say looking the part, bro, I don't mean you got to be massive and you got to be built like Brock Lesnar's, but you could have special characteristics about yourself that could make you some kind of a gimmick. But a lot of these guys that come through the door, Vito, they're average freaking Joes. And, bro, of course, Matt Yaden is running a business. So if they want to pay Matt Yaden $3,000 to train to be a wrestler, Matt Yaden's going to take their $3,000, and I don't blame them. Okay?
Right.
But, Vito, let's really look at what is the problem. Okay? Now, Vito, I used to tell you, and I learned this with every single one of the boys that I wrote with. Okay, bro, I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. If you spent a good part of your life being a wrestler and then you try to book and be a writer, you're going to be terrible at what you do. And I'll tell you why, bro. Because you're going to have a wrestler's mentality and you're going to have baggage and circumstances and events with some of the people you're trying to book. I used to run into this all the time with Jeff Jarrett. When I used to sit there and write with Jeff would be jealous of this one, jealous of this one. He had an argument with this guy said, and all his experiences as a wrestler affected how he would book those guys. So it was a freaking nightmare. So now, bro, let's look at the cornerstone of NXT. Let's look at the cornerstone. I was there on Triple H's very first day on the job. Triple H worked with the same exact people that I worked with. Triple H worked with Shawn. Triple H worked with Brett, with Taker, with Kane, with Mick, with Rock, with Austin. The list goes on and on and on and on. In the Attitude Period, Triple H worked with the greatest wrestlers perhaps in any period of our time. He worked with Ric Flair, bro. He's worked with Kurt Angle. He's worked with the best. It's crystal clear Triple H is the guy at NXT. The guy at NXT. I need somebody to explain to me how, with working with the greatest wrestlers in the history of the sport for, 20 years, somebody needs to explain to me how Triple H is making these decisions for guys that look like every man, that act like every man, that deliver themselves like every man. How is he allowing these guys to make it to the greatest stage in the United States in professional wrestling? Triple H is the guy. Everything goes through Triple H. When somebody brings up the name Sami Zayn, that's going through Triple H. Somebody needs to explain to me how a guy like Sami Zayn gets through Triple H, gets through NXT, and is now the main event on SmackDown. Because that's where I have to ask myself the question. Does Triple H still have that wrestling mentality where nobody could be better than him? And everybody's got to look like less the wrestler than he is? Because I don't know what else explains it. When you're Triple H and you learned from Shawn Michaels and you learned from Ric Flair, how is Sami Zayn in the WWE? How is Kevin Owens in the WWE? How is Finn Balor in the WWE? That's all Triple H.
That's because of a limited amount of indie guys that you can pick from who are over with the marks, and they think they're going to be over in the WWE. But when these guys go through the ranks and they get to the major TV line, is Sami Zayn really over? Is Kevin Owens, over to an extent, possibly? Does Finn Balor belong in the main event to wrestle the big guys? They're placed wrong. If you put Sami Zayn and Finn Balor in 205 Live, okay, then and you look at 205 Live, they are the average guy. They don't look like luchadors. There's nobody who looks like Juventud or Rey Mysterio or Dean Malenko or Chris Benoit or Chris Jericho, for that matter, because that's where they started out in the cruiserweights. There's nobody like that. They don't look the part. And then their characters are so dry that it's like you have to force feed them, or you have to pull it out of them with a pair of pliers to get some charisma. Because how many guys have charisma, that natural star power? Not too many. And when you look at the talent that you're dealing with, Vince, you're looking at the guys who came up through the indies who didn't have that, were allowed to do anything they wanted, think they were over, 50 high spots, but the old tradition wasn't brought to or wasn't taught to them to where they knew, okay, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Instead, it's X, O, P, Z, B, and B.
Yeah, but those guys are still getting through with Triple H's blessing, bro.
They're getting through because they don't have any other choice. They have nothing else. The talent is limited. Now, from what I see clips of from NXT, the new guys they have coming up, some of them guys are monsters, which I was happy to see. Are they good wrestlers? It's still to be determined. They're still young in the business, but they're big men. You look at Elias, he's solid, compact. He looks like a wrestler. He just came up from there. Is he getting the push he deserves? Are they writing for him? A Bray Wyatt looks like a wrestler, okay? But is he getting what's written for him? You talk about guys who might have. You talk about Baron Corbin. We don't like him. We hate him. He's bad. He's good, whatever. But There's another guy who looks average, and he's a big guy. You have Big Cass when he was with Enzo, and they were a team. But when Big Cass went as a single, and he's a big guy, very dry, no charisma whatsoever. He had nothing to offer as a singles wrestler. It's just a talent-based thing, Vince, and I think that it's lacking overall. Now, they just hired this guy, Ricochet, who does all the flips and was very famous in Japan. Okay, for 205 Live, he's going to do a bunch of flips, a bunch of acrobats, to entertain people. But is that the wrestling that Vince Russo grew up on and I grew up on, and Triple H and Flair and Steamboat and Dusty and Johnny Rods and Jose Estrada and Luger and Sting and Kevin Nash? No, it's a different time, a different era. And as much as we want to buck the system, we can't, because this is not what we grew up watching. This is not what we're used to. But this is how the era has changed. Maybe one day it'll go back. But you talk about Triple H making these decisions. Number one, it's become more politicky, more cliquey. There's a lot more ass kissing. There's a lot more yes men there were. Plus, there are limited selections of who you're going to put in there. Because if you look on the indies, how many guys are big monsters that are doing something on the indies? Take the tag team, the Young Bucks. They're doing phenomenal outside the business. They have their own T-shirts. They're over as a tag team. They do their thing. They have their own following. They don't need WWE. They're over. But if you take those two guys and put them in the WWE, they're not going to translate into the Young Bucks on the indies. Cody Rhodes, he couldn't make it with 5 gimmicks in the WWE. And he was butthurt, but he got 5 chances. He goes outside, and all of a sudden he's mixing with the Young Bucks, and he's an overstar for the marks, for the cult following. But if you were that good, Cody, you should have made it in the WWE. You had 5 chances. You were put with Orton. You were put with your brother. You were given the Dashing. You were given Sandow. You were given Stardust. Come on. How many chances you want? Give me a break. If you couldn't make it in the big leagues, some guys are not meant to be big fish in the big pond. Some guys are just meant to be a big fish in the small pond. And you're looking at the small pond fishes. That's what's irritating you. That's what's irritating the people out there. When you look at a Roman Reigns, you hate his guts. He looks like a wrestler. You look at John Cena, you hate his guts. He looks like a wrestler. A Brock Lesnar, a Strowman, they look like wrestlers. Kane, they look like wrestlers. A Finn Balor, when compared to Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels was considered a midget, and Finn Balor is smaller than Shawn Michaels, and you say, yeah, but wow, this is small. The 1, 2, 3 kid, you look at him when he was at the thing and he did his gimmick, and he was considered skinny and small, and he towered over Finn Balor. It's slim pickings, and you can't get upset about it.
I don't think it's slim pickings at all, and I'll tell you why. And again, we'll make the comparison to any major league sport. Bro, I work at Rocky Mountain Pro right now. I swear to you, bro, I swear to you, right now at Rocky Mountain Pro, there are 3 guys. Right now at Rocky Mountain Pro, 3 guys that would draw more money than Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens. Right now, 3 guys. And they're all a lot younger than those 3 guys I just mentioned. Bro, where are the WWE scouts, bro? Where are the scouts? Where are the scouts going out and scouting a Rocky Mountain Pro so they can see these wrestlers that nobody ever heard of before, and they can see the rawness of, oh my God, physically this guy looks like a wrestler. He's got somewhat of a character. He's got a little bit of actability. There's no scouts out there, bro. Any Major League Baseball team, they're looking for baseball players all over the freaking world. Bro, how you get in the WWE is if somebody mentions a name to Triple H. Where's the scouts, bro? The guys are out there. The believable guys are out there. I've seen them. They're out there. Nobody's looking at them. The only way you freaking get in is somebody, well, somebody in that inner circle telling Triple H you should look at so-and-so. Bro, here's a perfect example. Vito, you never met him, but you probably met, I'm sure you know who Magnus is.
Yeah.
Nick Aldis.
I know.
Okay. Bro, do you know Nick Aldis's story?
All I know from Nick Aldis is that when he first started and he got a job at TNA, I was wrestling in England when he first broke in, and he was green as hell.
Right.
So when he was wrestling for Brian Dixon, and I was wrestling out there, and then they took him and they were using him on TV, and he had a good body, but he was very green. He was the ever loving shits. Everybody just razzed him to death. So when he went to TNA, I don't know the details of what happened to him in TNA and how he got his push, but he improved because guys took an interest in him. They obviously trained him to be world champion.
Yeah. Okay. So he learned, the guy, to go back to the beginning of Nick Aldis, he came in a very tough spot, bro, because freaking Dixie saw his picture in a magazine, and freaking Dixie babied him and coddled him, which was the worst thing she could have freaking done. Okay, bro? She shoved him down everybody's throat, and it wasn't fair to the guy. To make a long story short, though, bro, the guy overcame all that, got better and better and better. They put the belt on him at TNA. He carried the belt like a champion. He looked like a champion. He looked like the star. His promos were getting great. He had the body. He had the whole 9 yards, right? Bro, he goes for a tryout at NXT. Okay, bro? Blows the doors off the place. Okay? They have their little meeting, bro. Who all the trainers are at this little meeting. Okay, bro? It goes around the freaking horn. Okay, bro? And I will say it, Terry Taylor says, well, I worked with Nick when he was at TNA, and he was very hard to work with. Well, first of all, bro, what young wrestler isn't very hard to work with before they learn the system and they learn how things work and they learn when to speak up, when to keep your mouth shut? That's a learning process. So the Nick Aldis Terry Taylor was talking about, he was talking about a Nick Aldis from 3 freaking years ago. It took that one comment from Terry Taylor for Nick Aldis to get the door closed in his face. And you're going to tell me, bro, you're going to close the door in the face of a Nick Aldis because of Terry Taylor, and you're going to put Sami Zayn in the main event of SmackDown? So it's not that they're not out there. They're out there, bro. They're out there. It's that buddy system that, somebody from that inner circle has to see a tape of you or something. Because if they were doing this the right way, bro, they would hire guys like you. They would hire guys like Stevie Richards. They would hire guys like Disco Inferno and let them be out in the field, looking at all these indie promotions, knowing what it takes to be a professional wrestler. They're called scouts. And if the WWE has any, I surely don't know about. None of them have come to Colorado, I can tell you that much.
And you want to know, you bring up a good point. This past week on Raw, your boy Corey Graves and Booker T had I guess there was some kind of falling out, and Booker T, world champion, good on the stick, interesting to listen to. Okay, he didn't really care for Corey Graves' announcing abilities, and they were butting heads. So the powers to be at the WWE replaced Booker T, put in Coach Jonathan Coachman from ESPN, who worked there before, who's a pretty good announcer once he gets back in the swing of things. And they kept Corey Graves on the panel. Now, how do you take somebody who has the credentials of a Booker T, and you look at the credentials of a Corey Graves, and you oust your world champion as somebody with credibility to talk about the product when Corey Graves is already on SmackDown, and you couldn't put in Coachman with Booker T, and I think it's the other guy in there, Cole, or whatever his name is, and do that. But here you have a veteran, and the thing that people forget is this is something that was embedded in us when we came in. Once you have the experience, you will always have a job in the business. That was a lie, because you got all the experience, but you have to watch the guys who have the jobs, because those guys are afraid of your experience, and you could do a better job than them.
Right. Which explains why Vito's where he is, and Glenn's where he is, and Stevie's where he is. Because first of all, none of those three guys I just mentioned are pricks. None of those three guys I just mentioned will walk over you and stab you in the back in order to take your spot. Okay, the guys in that spot will. Okay, bro, I'll tell everybody right now, and I don't pull no bones about it. You know how close I was with Terry Taylor, bro? You know how close Terry Taylor and I were for years and years and years at TNA? You know how close we were, bro? Guess what? Terry Taylor gets the call from his old buddy Triple H to go work at the Performance Center. I never heard from Terry Taylor again. That's how it works, bro. That's how it works. That's why we're here and they're there. But that also is very clearly why the business is freaking suffering. When you have a guy like Vito and a guy like Disco and a guy like Stevie, three different personalities all representing the brand, can sit back and tell you, oh, that's why that's not working. That's why he's not drawing. That's why this person is hurting people. But there's no use for them in the big leagues. But there's a place for Finn Balor and there's a place for Sami Zayn. Something's wrong, bro. Something is definitely wrong.
And if you take Stevie Richards and myself, right, you look at where we've been everywhere, every company, everywhere. And how many guys can say that? Maybe there's a handful. Shane Douglas comes to mind. Stevie Richards, Big Vito. Who's Raven? There's another guy. Shane Douglas. I named all these guys who have all this experience, and they don't have jobs in an office or being a scout or looking after things, because it's a politic-laden business, and everybody has to work their job. Do you know that there was a guy who went for a tryout? They didn't let him in the door because they didn't know he was coming. When he walked in the door, they said, "What are you doing here?" And they said, and that was the extent of the conversation. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here to, be a coach for the Performance Center." Nobody talked to him. Nobody helped him. Nobody gave him nothing. Nobody did nothing. And long story short, he didn't get the job because everybody's protecting their job. But when those guys needed a hand and those guys needed something, they did always ask that guy to help them. And they always asked for a favor. But when it was supposed to be reciprocated, never happened.
Oh, yeah, bro, they didn't have a spot for Animal as a trainer.
I know.
Animal. Bro, look at the tag teams that we're looking at the WWE, and they didn't have a spot for arguably one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time.
And when your brother is running the show and he's running the office and he's been working there for years and he can't get you a trainer's job, there's something wrong. Something. It's funny, bro, because when again you talk about professional sports, bro, you never hear about a guy not making the team because of politics. You never hear that in sports, bro. They take the best freaking athletes. They take the best. There's no politics involved. Now, bro, some guys have, legal records and felons and stuff like that, but it's not politicky. They take the best people for the freaking job. The WWE, bro, should have three scouts in every single freaking state. 3, bro. There should be 150 scouts out there in the United States alone. Tell me who's out there
Tell me who's out there looking for new talent.
Nobody. Everything is a word of mouth, and everybody's being, oh yes and thank you, the handshake and the phoniness, especially when you get in front of these people, and it's all like it's a charade. But when you get behind the scenes, it's not. It's something that you can never express. Like you go to a thing and you be cordial and say hi, how you doing? Well, this cordialness that we talk about, this brotherhood, everything is a yeah. How you doing? Oh, it's great. It's wonderful to be here. Oh, I can't believe the opportunity and all this stuff. There's so much fakeness that goes on that you don't know what's real and what's not real. But you do get a sense once you get with people and you start to see what's what, you say, man, I really got to be careful who I talk to and what's going on in this business. And not everybody's going to like you. And a lot of people are going to like you to your face, and they'll stab you in the back in a second just to save their own spot. It's a dog-eat-dog world in the wrestling business, people. I've experienced it. Vince Russo has experienced it. A lot of guys have experienced it, But what can you say and what can you do? You can't change it. That's just the way it is.
I mean, it's like, it's just like, bro, it's like, you talk to me about the, nobody being out there and this and that, bro. Like, I swear to God, like the two guys, again, I always go to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens because that's a joke, bro. That's the fact that these guys open up SmackDown and close it is a freaking joke. I'd say effing joke if I cussed. I don't cuss, bro. Okay. But when I'm watching Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and I know that Nick Aldis and Matt Morgan can't get jobs in the WWE. Are you out of your freaking mind, bro? Are you out of your freaking mind?
He's got a big hit. Now, Matt Morgan has been around a long time. He's a big guy, can move around for a big man. He had a couple of chances up at the WWE. He had chances at the TNA. He was in Japan. The guy can move around. They probably can get a couple of years out of him. But there's a big body that can be used because they don't have any big bodies.
And you know why he's sitting on the sidelines, Vito? Because he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, bro. I worked with him for so many years. The guy didn't have a political bone in his body. He wouldn't even know how to play it if he wanted to. And when he had his shot in the WWE, bro, they saw a big young guy. And, bro, anybody that knows Matt Morgan knows the guy's a genius. Bro, perhaps the most smartest guy in the wrestling business, a freaking genius. When somebody like that walked in the door, bro, forget about it. He was buried before it even freaking started. Okay, if you're a nice guy, Nick is the same way, bro. You know Nick Aldis. He's one of the nicest guys in the world. He ain't gonna backstab anybody. He ain't gonna screw anybody. And guess what, bro? He also ain't gonna work for the WWE. But there's a reason why people like that are not in those spots.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's a shame that the business is like that, and then when you're with the clique, and if you're not in with the clique and you're not in with the boys and you're not in with the groups, you're not going to be in, and so much could be said for wanting to be known for your wrestling ability and be a great wrestler. Well, that was Vito LaGrasso, 100%. I wanted to be the best wrestler. I gave 150% on any job I was given, and I got over in every company I worked for. One thing was I didn't kiss anybody's ass. I just wanted to wrestle. I just wanted to wrestle and be credited with my ability. My ability was good. I was a solid worker and a solid technician in the ring. I was believable. You asked me to do something, I did it. You asked me to do the unthinkable, I could do it. But
Vito, I used to say that to Eric Bischoff, and he used to get so pissed off at me. And he used to get pissed off at me for a reason. I always used to say to Eric and my right hand to God Almighty, my on a stack of my own children and my wife. I always used to say to Eric, this is what I used to say, Eric, when all the politics started going crazy, I used to say, Eric, all I want to do is write the show. All I want to do is write the best show I possibly can. I don't care about anything else, bro. I'm not going to waste my time kissing people's asses, getting involved in politics, worrying about what people saying behind me about my back. I'm not going to get caught up in that. He used to get so effing pissed off of me for saying that because he was the guy that was doing every single thing I was talking about, bro. He was that guy. That's why Eric Bischoff got an invite to Raw 25 and Vince Russo did it. Because at the end of the day, like you, bro, you had a job to be a wrestler. I had a job to be a writer. That's all I wanted to do because, again, bro, it goes back to the Italian thing. We're very prideful men. You give us a job, we're going to do the best job we can. We're not going to take shortcuts. We're not going to cut other people down to jump in front of the line. We're going to base our success on our performance. Unfortunately, bro, that does not work in the world of the WWE. So if you want an explanation of why they've lost 75% of an audience they once had, that is the explanation because the people that should be there are not there.
I'm going to tell you guys a story, and it's a true story. And Vince can tell you it's true. Now everybody knows me and Vince were boys, and we went to WCW together. Vince got there, and he took care of some people. And when Vince left, I said, Vince, where you going? Why are you leaving? And he says, Vito, I got to go. And I said, Vince, I said, you don't got to do this. I said, you need to stay and finish this out. He said, Vito, I can't do this. I have to leave. So he left for a few months. Kevin Sullivan took over, and there was a couple other people in charge. And one of the people that Vince had taken care of was, stabbing Vince in the back and acting like a real ass. When Vince came back, I told him what was going on. And it's not like I didn't call him and let him know. And then when Vince had power again, I said, Vince, I want to kick the shit out of this guy. I says, I got to do this because the way he treated you, I don't like it. And Vince told me, he says, Vito, you just got to let it be. He says, you can't do this. He says, I'll handle it. And talk about being loyal. And I came that close to kicking the shit out of this guy because I didn't like what he did to my friend when Vince helped him out. And it bothered me. It still bothers me today. And I know the guy is a phony, and I know he's played the game. But you talk about something that bothers you and you take to heart. I took it to heart because, we all came in at the same time and everything was good. And then once Vince went down, he played his own game and he thought he was the man. And I didn't like the way he represented Vince, and I didn't like the things he did. And I still haven't forgotten it. It's over 20 years ago. It's stuck in me. Talk about loyalty and friendship. That one still bothers me today.
I can sit here and I can give you a laundry list. My wife can give you a laundry list of the guys that I helped out only to be absolutely stabbed in the back by them in the business. I could sit here and I could tell you stories, bro, where you wouldn't even think we were talking about human beings. You wouldn't even think somebody had it in them to do something like that. But bro, that's how, man, bro, I'm telling you, I think power more than money affects people that way, bro. When people get a little bit of power and they want power, I mean, bro, they'll just cut your throat.
No, they will. And it's a shame because you know what? When you're on the road with these guys, and this is true, guys, when you're on the road with the guys and you're with your traveling buddies and you're in the crew, whether you're on Raw, SmackDown, or whether you're with Thunder or Nitro or the Saturday night crew, you're a family. And this goes even when we're in territories. You're family with these people. And when you leave the territory or you leave the family, maybe there's one, maybe two who you keep in touch with. All the rest of them disappear because you don't work with them anymore and you're not close with them. Even though you slept in the same hotel rooms, you shared a sandwich, you borrowed protein, you lent them clean clothes, you gave them socks, you did whatever. And that's just the nature of the business. And it's a shame because it stinks, but it's a catch-22 and it's a who's who and what could you do and how you could, advance yourself at the risk of hurting others. And it's a dirty game. But if you had hired the best guys with the best look and everything like that, like you do in pro sports, maybe the wrestling business would be different. Who's to say?
All right, Vito, tell everybody what's going on in your world, bro.
All right, I'm going to tell you what's going on in my world. I'm going to bring in my announcer. Every good brand has an announce team. So here is my wife from the Championship Eagles.
Yes, she is.
Yay!
All right, go ahead. Give him the rundown. You could do your show first.
Okay, we could do my show first. By the way, go Eagles! Yay! Anyway, so on Saturdays on Podcast One, I have Spilling the Teen Mom Tea with my teen mom bestie, Vince Russo. This week we had on Farrah Abraham's dad, Michael, for like a crazy interview. He seriously just like threw everything out there we never heard before. And then you have Vince and Vito getting color on Mondays. If you're checking it out now, check it out next week. You got bigvito.com where you can get any Big Vito merchandise you're looking for and see videos and pictures. He's also on Twitter at the Big Vito brand, YouTube at the Big Vito brand, Tumblr at the Big Vito brand, LinkedIn under Vito LaGrasso. I'm on Twitter at Reality Tea Spiller. So please send me any reality tea that you'd like me to discuss. And we have t-shirts on prowrestlingtees.com/the Big Vito brand and collar and elbow, a signature series t-shirt Vito has dedicated to his family and his father. So you can check that out. Use the code Big Vito and get 10% off your order.
You forgot your website.
Oh, my website. I forgot. My website is harlowinc.com, INK for ink. And you can see pictures and videos and get to know me. So check that out. I think that's it. Is that it?
All right. That is it, Vito. Anything else?
Nah, I think we had a good show, a good talk. I hope the people enjoy it. The brand has been growing, and we're talking. You were telling me about the convention that could possibly happen next year. I hope that a lot of people get to do this. I think it would be a good thing. And like I said, people, the brand is growing. The Big Vito brand has come leaps and bounds, and we're doing very well. And having 2 shows on Podcast One is really cool. And we're bringing something to the table here. And it's a nice little family. Plus, I do the Getting the Super Ugly show with the guys from Long Island. And then I have the No DQ panel review. My boys there, Adam Rift and David Stallworth, along with Rocky and the boys from Long Island. So, I mean, I got a good group of people. I got a lot of things happening. My name is out there. Podcasts are out there. There are people always asking me to do stuff.
We forgot Thursday's show. We have a special live show Thursday. We forgot about it.
Yeah, we got this thing going on Q&As on Tuesdays. Catch it on the Big Vito brand. And then on Thursdays, we're coming again. And then we're going to talk about real life. Go ahead. Tell them what you want to talk about.
This is what we're going to talk about on Thursday.
Go ahead.
It's kind of like a little bit cool because we have our contest winners are coming on with us on Thursday. And they dressed up like Vito and Noel to win the contest. So they're going to come on and they're going to ask us fan questions about not only wrestling, but our life and Teen Mom and the whole nine. So they're fans of wrestling and fans of Teen Mom. So that should be a good talk with them. And that's going to be this Thursday, 8:00 on YouTube channel, the Big Vito brand.
That's it, Vince.
All right, everybody. Follow everything Noel and Vito. Vito, as always, thanks for the show tonight. We will talk later on in the week. I want to tell everybody, check out the Realm Network. You can get Castrating the Marks exclusively on Realm, less than $1 a week. Just go to Russo's brand, RUSSOS brand.com. We will see everybody tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.